Jell-O was his sponsor. I remember I'd do my homework and listen to Jack.
The Lucky Strike program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester, Dennis Day, and yours truly, Don Wilson.
From 1932 to 1955, an unforgettable family of recurring characters would create a comedic world tailor-made to Jack's persona.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, from Camp Hahn, California, we bring you a man who pedaled here all the way from Hollywood on the rear end of a tandem bicycle, Jack Benny.
And now, folks, this novel quiz program will go on immediately after... Pardon me, I'll take it. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Benny, this is Rochester.
Rochester played my butler, my valet, my chauffeur, who had a right to insult me because I was the kind of a fella that was the cause of it.
You mean to say you lost my bicycle shooting craps?
Well, I was lucky for the first 3 passes.
Lucky, and then what happened?
My dice went into a minuet and my opponent became suspicious.
Mary always sort of ran my life, even though she wasn't supposedly married to me.
Well, who drove the bus, Phil? I mean, who drove the bus, Phil?
No, I did. Phil was up on the roof taking a sun bath.
All right, so I made a mistake.
We made Phil Harris a sort of a smart alecky guy. He either left a pool room or a bar or a girl.
When your boys were inside that bus rehearsing, why weren't you down there with them?
Look, Jackson, I just stand in front of them and shake a stick. When they're through, I stop.
Oh.
Unless I had a bad night.
When Dennis came in, you knew he was always vague about something.
It was so windy coming down here I could hardly catch my breath.
Oh, it wasn't so windy.
Don't tell me. I was sitting on the handlebars.
What of it? You had a nice soft cushion under you.
Some cushion. Every time Rochester rang the bell, I darn near wiggled off.
The Jack Benny show was like a world of people. There were so many different people, and we didn't use them all on one show or the next show.
The reason Jack was successful, he'd get a great routine. He'd use it maybe every 3 months.
By 1936, Jack Benny was the #1 comedian in the country. The writers of the Benny program continued to break new ground for radio.
Their whole show was based on situations rather than just jokes. I'm sure the writers who wrote for the Benny Show would sit down every week and say, we've got this marvelous cast of characters. All we have to do is write this situation, put these characters in it, and it'll work.
He treated his writers with respect. And that's a pretty good reason of why they were with him so long. That and the fact that he paid very good wages.
Jack would come in the room, sit at the end of the table, get out a cigar, pick up the script for the first time. He was a great study, and he'd go word by word. He'd say, should we say, we're going instead of we are going? And he was a perfectionist, and this way we got very good results.
We had no guidelines. Most shows do have a guideline. We didn't have it. If Jack felt comfortable, we wouldn't even suggest anything off color because we knew he wouldn't feel comfortable. And we weren't built that way.
Jack understood that we were listening to him in the privacy of our homes, not in a theater. And because the show was about his life, he made us feel that we were his intimate friends.
People say he started situation comedy. It wasn't situation comedy in the true sense. It was something that could have happened to the real Jack Benny. It wasn't part of a sitcom setup with a beginning and a middle and an end and all that. It was just like a vignette scene from Jack's daily life.
He surrounded himself with good people. I'm speaking now, that would include the writers, but I'm talking now about the performing cast, the supporting cast. They were all good people. They knew their business. And when they came on the Benny Show, you didn't have to worry about them. You gave them their part, gave them a little brief instruction. They did it.
He would have to go to the studio, I think about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and Sunday mornings was our time together. And we would get in the car, and he had a convertible, and we would drive to Malibu for breakfast. And he would tell me, he treated me like a person. I mean, he would tell me what the show was going to be about, who the guest star would be, did I think it was a funny idea, and he would go over it with me, and I felt like I was a part of it. And he made me feel very special.
You didn't forget your broadcast, did you?
How could I forget? The broadcast, always the broadcast. Year after year. Every Monday I think of ideas. Tuesday I meet with my writers. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday we write. Saturday I rehearse. And on Sunday I do my program, and one short half hour it's all over. All that work for just 1 half hour. And for what, I ask you? For what?
For a lousy $1 million.
From Television City in Hollywood, we bring you the Jack Benny Program.
On October 28, 1950, the first Jack Benny program on television was broadcast live.
I'd give $1 million to know how I look.
Dinah, remember that first show we did in New York?
Oh, do I ever. We were both nervous wrecks.
Right.
In fact, we were so nervous right after the show, we went over to Sardi's, and we had a couple of drinks, and we relaxed.
Yeah. And you remember what happened? We were too young, and they wouldn't serve us any alcohol.
It seems that I don't know, all week we've been here rehearsing, you know, and I don't know, I never got to see you at all this week. You'd come in the theater alone, and you'd leave alone. And I was just wondering that if tonight, now that the excitement of the first show is over, I was wondering if you mind maybe if we went out together and I'd take you home afterwards, you know?
Oh, Jack, I can't see any harm in that.
Oh, I wish you could.
I don't think there was a moment's disappointment. I think it was, you know, he was just a total charge. I think his program was probably in the top 10 for as long as he wanted it to be.
With the show now on television, we could finally see those characters who had lived so long in our imaginations.
I was just telling all the folks out there that you have been with me 17 of my 19 years in radio.
Well, thanks, Jack, and I must say those 17 years have been very happy ones.
Well, thank you, darling.
Not fruitful, but happy.
Now, look, Mary, you called me, you rushed over in a cab. Now, what is it you want to say to me?
Well, Jack.
Uh-huh.
Jack, something has got to be done about your being so cheap.
Dennis, what's bothering you?
Well, I'll tell you what's bothering me. The last time you used me was on the opening show of the season. That was 5 months ago, and you haven't used me since.
Well, Dennis, there's a reason for that. After all, you know how the way my shows are constructed. It's only a half hour, and I have to make everything tie in, have you fit into the show.
Oh, sure. Excuses. I wouldn't mind if I hadn't been with you for so many years, if I haven't grown to admire you as a performer and developed such a deep sense of loyalty and devotion.
Well, Dennis, I appreciate your loyalty, but... Well, now, take the last program that I did 2 weeks ago. How would you have fit in there?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
Hello? 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 Must have hung up. I wonder who... Rochester.
Oh, hello, boss.
You've been sitting here all the time?
Uh-huh.
With the phone. Didn't you hear the phone?
Uh-huh.
Well, why didn't you answer it?
This is my day off.
The versatile Mel Blanc provided a host of memorable characters.
One of his favorite routines was the seaside routine, which I did with Jack we started in radio and it went through television. And we only had about 10 words of dialogue in the entire script. And it was very well received. It was a very popular thing.
Pardon me, mister, but did that man over there put some of my clothes in your luggage?
Si.
Well,
are you going to Mexico City?
Sí.
Are you taking flight 18?
Sí.